There is encouraging news today about unemployment in the United States.
According to the Labor Department, unemployment applications fell by 12,000 to a seasonally adjusted 367,000. The figures come one day before the government is expected to report that January marked a solid month for hiring. Economists expect the January employment report to show that employers added some 155,000 jobs last month and that the unemployment rate remained at 8.5%.
So is there really an economic recovery going on in Michigan? If you listen to some politicians talk, you would certainly think so.
Yeah, 24-hour News 8's Rick Albin back now with us. And Rick, you're finding that for once, all of this good talk is bipartisan.
Yeah, interestingly, yes. Nobody's saying everything's great, but when I spoke to Vice President Joe Biden yesterday, he had a really optimistic assessment of things here in the state. You would expect that on the part of a team looking for a re-election. And since some of the job growth here that has helped our employment numbers is coming from the auto industry, an industry that the Obama-Biden administration bailed out, they obviously want to highlight that and take some credit. But the vice president went well beyond that to single out Michigan as a leader for the rest of the country.
This is sort of a microcosm of America. I mean, you have the most talented people, the best educated people. You are coming back in terms of manufacturing, also in high tech. I mean, this is sort of a petri dish for the recovery of America.
So that's the take from one of the top Democrats in the country when talking about the state. A few hours later, I talked with the leader of the Republicans in the state Senate, who had a similar upbeat take on the state.
We got unemployment rate that has been reduced from double digits down to 9 point something, a reduction of some 20–25% in total. That's huge. Some of the outside organizations that rate financial responsibility and the way states are run have said Michigan is the second best state in the country poised for recovery.
Second best in the country? Election year politics aside, it does appear that the view from some politicians that watch these things closely is that Michigan is a state that has arguably suffered more and longer than any other state, and it may be on the rebound. At least that's what they're saying. And that's the first time we've heard that kind of talk from both sides of the aisle in a very long time.
Rick, reality check, though, is Michigan somewhat of a pawn, a political pawn in this election year?
It is the prize for this year's presidential election, and part of this is absolutely being filtered through this prism of political talk. On the other hand, some of those things that Senator Richardville talked about, the assessment from outside agencies that really don't have a dog in the hunt when it comes to politics, and also some of the numbers that Vice President Biden talked about with people going back to work, all that's real, it's tangible, so it certainly is better than it was. They both admit it's not as good as it needs to be, and we're still almost 9%, 9 point something, as he's pointed out. That's still too high for unemployment, but it's better than it was just a few years ago, and it's better than it was even 6 or 8 months ago. So, I think it's kind of a mix of both, but always be wary in an election year.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Rick. Thanks.